We need to go. It's been a great show. Appreciate all of your SMSs, your texts, your correspondence. Keep it coming tomorrow as we count down to Caulfield on Saturday. Big race in the West. We've got the Ingham in Sydney. We'll speak to the leading contenders. We'll have Gators game plan. We'll have also the trial tracker as well. Enjoy your Wednesday. After Mildura, it'll be the grey areas. Let's take it to Dan Misson.
Starting in the back straight, Mobile picks up good speed. Calf Penny's the favourite drawn the inside of the second row. Just about right. The green light's on, the arms are back and they're off at the first. Being snagged back is Head Like Tezza. Winning the start was DY down along the inside, an early speed from Sunshine Warrior. They pair off about 5 metres in front of You Little Terror, then followed by He's a Star with Apology Accepted. Calf Pen gets about midfield now in the moving line. Further afield is Bring My Bling and Head Like Tezza. Coming up towards the point of the corner, they've got about a mile left to travel, and it's DY that shows the way. Leads by 3 metres from Sunshine Warrior on the outside of the leader. You Little Terror is leaders back third, and peeling now is Calf Pen with 2 laps left to go. Peels 3 deep. Then came Apology Accepted. It's buried away 3 back along the inside. He's a Star is next with Head Like Tezza and Bring My Bling at the rear of the field. Into the bottom corner, and they've got about 1,500 metres left to travel, and it's DY showing the way. DY by 5 metres. Looming up to it is Calf Pen without cover now, and leaders back is You Little Terror. Apology Accepted. 3 back along the inside, and Sunshine Warrior sweet seating 1 by 1. Head Like Tezza's buried away 4 back along the inside. He's a Star is next to last, and Bring My Bling can see the whole field as they go up towards the top straight, and they've got about 1,100 metres left to travel, and it's DY still leading the way, looking to it all the way. DY clear by 4 metres. The favourites hot on the scene though. Calf Pen on the outside of the leader. You Little Terror is leaders back third, and sweet sitting is Sunshine Warrior. Apology Accepted. 3 back along the inside. Head Like Tezza still pinned away along the pegs, and then followed by He's a Star and Bring My Bling is last. Bell chiming now. 1 circuit left to travel, the first at Mildura, and it's DY leading the way. Clear by 3 metres from Calf Pen on the outside of the leader. You Little Terror leaders back. There's been no moves. Sunshine Warrior still sweet seating. They were followed by Apology Accepted, still buried away along the fence. He's a Star is next with Head Like Tezza and Bring My Bling is last. Down the back they roll. 500 metres left to travel. It's still DY in front. DY clear by 3 metres. Calf Pen the favourite, inching a little bit closer. You Little Terror still leaders back third, waiting for a run if it presents. Then came Sunshine Warrior, who's still sweet seating. He's a Star takes off 3 deep through the 400, and then came Apology Accepted with Bring My Bling and Head Like Tezza. Coming towards the furlong marker, 200 to go. It's DY in front, leads narrowly from Calf Pen, who's revving up on the outside. You Little Terror still looking for fresh air, and down the outside sweeping home is He's a Star. It's DY in front. Calf Pen quickly joining it. Joining in now is Sunshine Warrior, but Calf Pen dashed to the front. Kicking back is DY. Calf Pen in front. Calf Pen favourite wins from DY second. Sunshine Warrior was third, and You Little Terror was fourth. Then followed by Apology Accepted. He's a Star. Head Like Tezza and Bring My Bling was last. Favourite wins the first. Number 7, Calf Pen, made that mid-race move, sat up on the outside of the leader and dashed to the front when coming down the straight. Calf Pen for Ryan Sanderson at 150 and 120 on the Super Tab. 2 DY was second at 190, and 5 Sunshine Warrior was third at $2.30. So the 7 wins the first of the day. Calf Pen is a bay gelding, 7 years by He's Watching, out of Jazz Tenor. That's start number 41 today, and win number 6. There's the photo finish, won by about a long head on the line. Interim placings about to come to hand. We've got 7, 2, 5, 3.
7253, about to go to the grey areas with Jason and George. At Sale, just be advised, there was a dead heat fourth in the previous at Sale Dogs with Paul. Number 2, I'm a Treasure at $5.90 and $1.80. 6, Red Gum Wars, $5.20. 8, Dermot Rose, $1.10. And 7 and 5, 5 and 7, Dr. Ducky and Dr. Anne, dead heated fourth. The Quinella, $66. The Exacta, $77. Trifecta, $338. And the first fours with the 5, $767. And with the 7, $1,000. $4,259. Early quaddie there at Sale Dogs today, 8, 6, 3 and 2, $956. And just quickly at Mildura, 7253 are official. Number 7, Calf Pen. Ryan Sanderson wins the first, $1.50 and $1.20 the favourite. 2, DY, $1.90. 5, Sunshine Warrior, $2.30 and 3, Your Little Terror. The Quinella, $7.90. Exacta, $10.40. Trifecta, $51. And the first 4, 7253, $114. Late scratching was the 1. The sub was the winner. Calf Pen, number 10.
On RSN Racing and Sport, it's time for the grey areas with Jason Adams and George Ferrugia.
That kid was a human dynamo.
Are you sure you're talking about George?
George of the jungle, friend to you and me.
It's midday on Wednesday, which means it is time for grey areas here on RSN at 9 to 7. And boy, oh boy, is there a lot on the agenda. My name's Jason Adams. I'm joined by Georgie Ferrugia. Georgie, it was a clean-up last weekend. Your left field multi-saluted. Green Bay, Australian cricket team pulled their finger out. Plenty went right.
Green Bay plus 3.5 and they lost by 3. Perfect.
You're a genius, mate.
Thank you.
You are a
Green
genius.
Bay. Green Bay. Got another one this week for you, mate. And I got a tip for tonight at the Meadows as well. We're just gonna.
How left field?
I gave it to producer Mick Comerford and he's already got on, so everyone better get on.
Are we going down the American sport path again?
Yes, we are. And
All
just
right.
before we go on, I was speaking to, while you were having a little bit of a break last Friday, I was speaking to John about Sean Cosgrove having a first starter at Geelong called Ringwald after Molly Ringwald, and it won and paid $11.
Fantastic. Good on you.
So well
Cos.
done to Cozzy. I
Did he
hope he's
tip it to all
listening.
of his mates, John?
Beg your pardon?
Did he tip it to all of his mates?
No.
No?
He didn't. I said he
Be
wasn't.
having a
gonna
word
tip
to him about that.
it. Yeah.
No, good on you, Cos.
Hopefully
That's
I'm
great.
catching up for a beer with him tomorrow at our local haunt, Jace, which you frequent as well, and we can get into him there. Oh, not tomorrow,
Yep.
Friday. I'm losing my days.
Easy to do these days. Hey, Johnny, I did listen back to the show from Friday. I did notice how you said it was a great show without me, so I feel
Told
sorry
you
for you that I'm here today, mate.
George passed me a note. I just read
What
it.
a stitch up.
Oh, my God. All right, let's get into it. Obviously, from a racing point of view, heaps happening over the next few days. Thursday night in particular, we've got the running of the Laurels at Sandown Park, the Group 1 Hobart 1000 down there in Tassie, and then we move on to the Silver Chief final at the Meadows this Saturday night. And, of course, a lot of Phoenix news hunting around as well. So we'll cover that and more on today's show, George. But obviously the elephant of the room before we get started is the announcement out of New Zealand yesterday with the closure of greyhound racing over there in 20 months' time. And I know you're far more closer to participants over there than what I am. So give us an insight to the impact this has had in the past 24 hours. I know from my point of view, this seems just so heavily political. It's not funny and not treated with fairness as to how the industry over there's handled itself in recent time. We know there's been some issues in the past, but of recent time, it's come along in leaps and bounds, and to have this decision is just unbelievably disappointing and probably have to say pathetic from the government to pull the trigger on something like this.
Yeah, you're right. You hit the nail on the head. I feel so sorry for the participants. Going back, my association is going back when you and I were involved in the national draft, and a few greyhounds in that syndication group went to New Zealand. I went there a couple of years ago on holiday and met some wonderful people, and I really absolutely feel for them, for the people that are employed directly or indirectly with greyhound racing, but also the people that are involved in the sport and love their animals. And like you said, the reforms that were put forward, I think Greyhound Racing New Zealand had met a lot of those requirements. And
the injury rates were through the floor.
And still got kicked in the teeth. And some of the language used by the racing minister I thought was just not on. It's so disappointing. I've had people text and say, well, what does this mean for Victoria and that? And I think there's sort of minimal damage to us in terms of there is still a small percentage of greyhounds from Australia that do head to New Zealand as a viable option for racing, which will no longer be there after September 2026. But on a bigger scale, Jason, it just means one more country doesn't have greyhound racing, and those morons that keep spouting lies about our sport get a win where that's the annoying part for me.
Yeah, and just on that, George, this is not throwaway terms because we are greyhound racing fans and always going to support the sport. They are fair income liars in a lot of cases that just do damage politically as time goes on.
Absolutely, and you're right. It is solely based on policy, and you know what? Unfortunately, Jason, it is the world we live in. Are you surprised by the decision? Because I am not, because we're living in this crazy world where, and I was speaking to John about it before, where they want to appease everyone, and it's never possible. So I think it comes down to three categories of people here when we're talking about greyhound racing. There are going to be people that always love greyhound racing, like you and I, and people that are in the sport. There are going to be those morons who always dislike greyhound racing based on things that are mistruths about the sport. And then there's the large majority of people in the middle, Jason, who they're the people that I like to talk to when you're at parties, or people that are not associated with racing whatsoever, but they want to have a chat to you. They're good people, and they're the ones that hopefully want to deal in the facts. And the facts are these. The greyhounds love to run. The ones that love to run have a career, Jason, and then they find a couch for life. The ones that don't want to run at break-in find a couch for life. They're fit, they're healthy, they're groomed, they're fleed, they're wormed, they're well looked after. They couldn't be in better condition. They're the facts, okay? Now, then you're dealing with people who look at websites or social media of a photo of a greyhound from 3 decades ago, not even in this hemisphere, that's malnutritioned. That's their facts. I mean, let's get serious here. I mean, so this is the disappointing part of it. The other thing too is that people that have greyhounds, not just in Australia, are regulated within an inch of their lives. I mean, and 99.9% of the time they get the tick of approval because their greyhounds are well treated. So that's what makes me angry about it. But I think it's not just a greyhound issue, it's a 3-code issue now. Yep. And I think people, when you are speaking to people who have no interest in greyhound racing to get involved or anything like that, the ones that have a brain, and there are a lot of great people out there, actually listen to what you're saying and say, well, if they're the facts, George, about your sport, mate, go for your life. I'm totally, you're doing the right thing, all that. But it's these activists who have absolutely no idea and no basis of it. And the argument about injuries, Jace, look at all the sports that have needed to reform. AFL with head issues and stuff like that. So when you have animals going at 70 k's an hour and horses go very fast too, sometimes injuries occur. It's not like greyhounds are being put down because they're not fast enough. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Happen anymore.
No, it
does not happen.
And you know what the problem is? That we're on a racing channel, so we're largely speaking to the converted. But I always urge people that when you're speaking to people who they might not bag greyhound racing, but say, "Oh, geez, the sport is getting bad news in the media," I always sit down and spend the time to chat about the sport about it. So really, really feel for everyone in New Zealand. Not just trainers. I spoke to people that were involved in greyhound racing New Zealand. They're absolutely devastated. So, people are saying, "Oh, look, we're not down for the count yet," but it doesn't look great when a decision is just made, even after you are reforming and getting better as a sport. We've done it all in Australia. We've come such a long way from 20, 30 years ago, and that's what the activists use: facts and figures from so long ago that it's.
And when we start to talk injuries, they're including.
It could be
toes and things like that.
Cramp an abrasion, a scratch. Yeah. I mean, seriously, Jace. So I feel for everyone that gets continually harassed. And I even said to Cheryl this morning, I said, sometimes I feel like you're made to feel embarrassed for being part of this industry. And it's ridiculous because I went out to Anthony Azzopardi's today to do some stuff for Ladbrokes. You want to go and see how his dogs are treated. Mate, Gold Scotch came out, one that I own with Ladbrokes came out. Mate, you could eat off her back. And that is the large majority of greyhounds. Yet the activists refuse to go out to these properties because they don't want to know.
The people most critical know the least.
No, that's right. So you get a little bit frustrated because
so you shouldn't.
I feel for all those poor people in New Zealand and Michael Felgate asked CEO Stuart Lang a really interesting question. Okay, it's happened in New Zealand. You say that they're separate jurisdictions, which is totally fair, but I understand trainers and owners and breeders being worried about these sort of people.
Yeah, I really battle with that because in some cases I sort of think the participants have a responsibility to speak with positivity. I think there's a general default to think negatively about certain things. However, I'm not the one in their shoes, am I, George? So
they're allowed to be at least worried. Just.
Yeah, there's clear reason to think about these things. I mean, it's their livelihood, it's my livelihood. So there's a lot on the line.
I'm totally with you when it comes to responsibility of trainers, which probably wasn't there 10 or 15 years ago, and owners to do more in the media with, not just because we're in it, but I mean the promotion of the sport is a little bit of their responsibility as well. I get that part of it, but in regards to them being worried, I think they've got certainly every right to be.
If anyone wants to get involved, you can text in 0416 90 50 52. And you mentioned the chat, George, that Stuart Lang had with Michael Felgate earlier on Racing Pulse, and I guess that question about does this have a flow-on effect, the short answer is no, because it is a completely different beast over here. And as I said earlier on, I mean, a good reflection of that and recent reflection that I've felt that's irrelevant from what happened yesterday was that a turnover record about a month ago, which was about 1.8 million for a race meeting, where ours, say Melbourne Cup night for the example, was over 9. So it's a completely different scale. It's a completely different political landscape.
Yeah.
We have completely different sort of integrity and welfare requirements and investments, just because that's just the way we're structured over a period of time.
Yeah.
So it's wrong of anyone to think, in my opinion, that this is a domino effect. We are a different beast, and we have support of both state parties when it comes to greyhound racing.
And those green shoots in regards to turnover are fantastic, and we need to speak about them, Jace, because all three of them have, all three codes have struggled with that. The only concern I have is that some dimwits get into Parliament that have an animal activist bent, that have some pull with some of the larger parties and create decisions that are just absolute crap. So that's what we sort of need to keep out. And I know
in return for a favour on another policy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, because greyhound racing is the younger brother and always gets picked on. I mean,
and that seems the case here, because as I've learned the past 24 hours, the sort of injury statistics that was being worked on, you could consider them more favourably to the other two codes. So it's really
you're right. That's
really interesting.
That's the thing, and we don't want to pit the three codes against each other. That's really important. We need to stick together here because they're coming after the other two codes in New Zealand. Don't worry about that.
All right, we'll get to sales shortly. Race 5, they're at the boxes there. George, a text message has come in. If the activists can go online and say false truths like that, making an impact, who is standing up for us and fighting back with facts to expose them? I think that's been done. I mean, you can't talk to these people and change your opinion. It is impossible.
Not those.
It is a waste of time and waste of investments for the sport. You can do it in a different light and opportunities like we've had recently on racing.com, but a lot more to talk about through that. Race 5 sale, let's get to Happy.
Okay, thanks, Jason, and very interesting conversation there. And the BSG Australia 300-plus ranking race will kick our quaddie off here. Have fun playing the quaddie, and I hope you land it. So they're moving in. Even numbers being loaded up now for the 5th on the card, and Bright Sunshine. The green light is on, and we're set. Race number 5. Ready. Racing, Be Rugged on the inside, came out only fairly, showing pace was Before Noon. Going up there was Plenty of Value, and trying to get across was Rhonda Gem, just off those Be Rugged. Then came First Mate, who's bit deeper. Lunya is wide, and trying to make ground. Well back Dr. Zeppelin, last Be Yourself, coming up to the corner. Plenty of Value has dashed away, 2 or 3 in front. Before Noon's trying hard. Plenty of Value's doing it well, though. Plenty of Value wins it by 4 lengths. Second, Before Noon. Third goes to Be Rugged. Then on the outside was Lunya, made a little bit of ground. Then Rhonda Gem, well back Dr. Zeppelin, and well out of it there was First Mate, and it is 24.85. 24.85, number 3. It is Value for the quantity if you've thrown it in. For Andrew Wood, Plenty of Value by Feral Frankie from Clunalas beats number 2 Before Noon, 1 Be Rugged, and number 6, Lunya, runs 4. So the interim placing, guys, here are 3-2-1-6, 3-2-1-6, and the race time 24.85. The margins there 3.5 by neck. On race number 5, it's a big start for the quantity. Plenty of Value, number 3, putting Plenty of Value in it.
Oh, Paul, that's very clever. Did you see what he did there, boys? It's cool.
He's an intelligent man, Happy.
He's got script writers working for him. He's got people sending him audition tapes. It's unbelievable. It's actually called the tycoon of greyhound racing. Number 3, Plenty of Value, $13.60 and $2.80. Number 2, Before Noon at $3.60. 1 Be Rugged, $2.30 and 6 is into fourth spot. Lunya. The Quinellas paid $65, Exacta $130, Trifecta $293, and that first 4 is $1,840 for 3, 2, 1 and 6. The running double returning $58 on 2 and 3.
Thanks, Johnny. And back to grey areas here, Georgie. And I don't want this whole show taken up by this stuff because there's far more positive things to go into. But a text message has come in directly. The only positive thing to come out of this is greater realisation of what we need to do here. Clubs must unite, get rid of those who would see the industry die around them and blame others. That is very true, particularly when it comes to the mindset and how people behave going forward. Messages coming in. Georgie, hey boys, if the opposition got voted into Parliament over here or over in NZ, could the decision on banning greyhound racing be overturned? I don't know enough about that.
There's some legislation that needs to get passed. I don't know too much about it, but just on those ones about if the activists can go online, what are we doing? Like, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of positive media about greyhound racing. I understand that text message completely, but I think that's why it's important that we educate the general public who are probably not racing people, and then, unfortunately, it becomes a political decision. And hopefully, with the stats that are given to the party in power, they don't listen to that noise, and that's essentially all it comes down to. That they're going to make the right decisions and say, you know what, you just shush over there for 1 second. We've got these stats, and we understand that Greyhound Racing Victoria, Racing Queensland, GRNSW are doing all they can to make this sport, which already is, as I said to you, what annoys me the most is that people with domestic dogs, everyone loves their dogs and all that, but I can tell you, greyhound racing, greyhounds are so much better treated and are fitter and healthier than 99.9% of domestic animals, because they have to be, because they're athletes,
including you and I.
Well, they're definitely better than me, mate. But yeah, you're right. We've got to move on because there's so much positivity in the sport. But I just, again, heart goes out to all the New Zealand people. Yep,
that message was from Tim from Kilsyth, and another one's come in that's politically sort of spoken about. Winston Peters is the racing minister and leader of NZ First, and extremely popular. I'm sure he is, and I'm sure doing something like this, in his view, might get him some more votes, which I guess in everyone else is quite fair and reasonable about this situation.
Well, I believe he was pro-greyhound racing. I believe that's how he was. I heard an interview with Brendan Cole today. No. I'm saying that's how he sort of built his. He was the one who sort of helped give some, I think, funding to the sport and to horse racing, and that's what Brendan was talking about. And he feels like he's just been sideswiped. So
yeah, well, that obviously was some time ago, and since then the whole thing's improved. Yeah. So that absolutely reeks from him.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Lots happening from a racing point of view. Let's touch on the Phoenix, George, and what's happening around that.
Oh, yeah.
Big news over the weekends. The Melbourne Storm withdrawing. Rinsed a lot due to minor injury, so we won't see him, unfortunately.
I believe a slight injury around the stopper bone injury, which for people who aren't around greyhounds can be a very, very tricky injury. And if the stopper bone is injured in a fairly severe way, sometimes greyhounds don't necessarily come back as fast. So it's an injury that you've got to be very careful with. He's a young greyhound on the rise, so as disappointed as they would be, I mean, this is a greyhound that might have a huge 2025.
Yep, indeed. And from who they move on to now, I understand they're going to make an announcement on Friday morning. So leaving it until the last minute. I'd say probably the only slot holder in the history of the Phoenix to make a decision on the day of the close of nominations. No, I don't. They're obviously waiting for what happens on Thursday night, it seems.
Is it between two greyhounds?
I don't know. I've only heard of one.
Okay.
And it's not legitimate enough to roll with at this point in time, but they will announce that on Friday morning. Outside of that, Total Container Solutions went with Sunset Frazier on Monday, and he trialled at the Meadows like an absolute rocket. Did you see the time he set?
Yeah, crazy.
That is fast. For anyone thinking he might not bounce back as well after that tumble in the Melbourne Cup, think again. This bloke is flying.
Speaking to trainer Jeff Britton, he is a rap for the greyhound's ability to chase in like when it gets tough too, and I think we've seen that on the Melbourne Cup. He really wanted to drive through, and obviously Dacey's Rory is trialling today at the Meadows as well for Tom Savalas. Tom might even opt to give him a second trial depending on how he goes today, was the word I heard from Tom.
Yep. All right, Sandown Thursday night, running of the Laurels. Miss Envy's favourite, George, but anyone who I speak to and say, is Miss Envy the one to beat? They say, yeah, probably, but the one on her outside might give her some grief. What do you reckon?
It's a very tricky box draw. Very tricky. There's a lot of speed in the race. The ground in box 6 is one of the better breakers. I think we'll know, Rosa Marie. I'm keen on Bun Storm, and they've backed it 460 into 370 now. Again, can Miss Envy win? Of course she can. We raved about her, Jace, when she won a Prelude, so we're not jumping on any bandwagon here, but box draw is tricky. If she was able to win that, Jace, she's blown out from odds on to black figure odds, so that might continue to drift.
Silver Chief on Saturday nights, Epitomise, Deadly Avenger. Those sort of greyhounds doing some good things at the moment. How do you think that one's going to play out?
Yeah, great
Looks
race.
Very open.
Iconic Jets splits, and his 2 looks at the Meadows have been outstanding. He has to contend with box 6, and probably that last 50 metres, if a greyhound's close about. We have been banging on about poor greyhounds for how long since they started. So you have to say poor Vortex is a chance at $5 as well.
All right, we're getting the count. Mildura is about 1 minute away. So before we wrap up, Georgie, your tips for tomorrow night at Sandown Park and your left field anchor leg for the multi, please.
Before I go, for anyone that wants a little bit of mayonnaise, race 3, number 4, Fags at the Meadows today. Back it, about $1.65, should be winning. Now, tomorrow, race 2, number 1, Queen Avenger, should lead and be very, very hard to beat, Chase. That's the first one we're keen on. We do like race 9, number 1, Mr. Easy. Clearly does his best racing from inside draws. I like him over 600 metres. And I do like one in race 12. Number 1, Upset Sunset for Team Daly. Good placing behind Rosa Marie last start. Race 12, number 1.
Anything in left field, please?
Definitely on the LA Rams against the San Francisco 49ers on Friday, mate. We're going 3 for 3 in the NFL. So if you take it with Fags today, I think we got something to roll the dice with on Friday.
All right, there we go. The mighty Rams. Okay, just before we go, George, a text from Tim from Kilsyth, who's been superb today. If Melbourne Storm were to pick Timmy Zoo, do you think he could win a Phoenix?
Of course, especially if he draws well. 29.58 on Saturday.
Outrageous.
Absolutely super run. I mean that was the tip of the century, wasn't it, on Saturday night for Tim Zoo to win that? So, no, definitely. I wonder if he's in contention. Who knows?
Who knows? Melbourne Storm, the only one to yet to announce their representative for the Phoenix, John Henry. It is on December 21st. And, of course, if you want to be there, Greyhound Racing's biggest party, and to learn more, head to dreamchasersfestival.com.au.
Great show today, guys. Well said. And they are coming forward at Mildura. And the favourite here is, at the moment, just now, favourite is number 1, Above Average for Wayne Hill.
Gate heads up towards the starting area. Last look at the board, Above Average is the $2.90 favourite. $3 about Egbert. Drawn in beside each other, 1 and 2. Green light is activated. Arms fold and they're off and racing. Above Average and Egbert were both cleanly away. Priority Betting also out well, along too with Rocking Roxton. So 4 across the track into that top corner, but Above Average used that 1 gate advantage to punch forward and lead. So Above Average will lead by 3 metres from Priority Betting on the outside of the leader. Pushing through from the second row was Mustang Max to get leaders back third, and Egbert settles 1 by 1. Rocking Roxton's caught out 3 deep on the track. Just in behind the speed is Out of Control. It's 3 back along the inside. Covering up it is Alien from Armstrong. Further afield then to Out of Control with the Tooth Fairy. Still some time, and last is Auckland Lass. So they've got 2 laps left to go, a mile left to travel, and Above Average shows the way into that bottom corner by 3 metres. On the outside of the leader is Priority Betting, and leaders back is Mustang Max. Then followed by the Tooth Fairy, who's buried away 3 back along the inside. Egbert slots into 1 by 1. Followed by Alien from Armstrong. It's in the moving line. Further afield on the inside is Auckland Lass. Covering up it is Out of Control. Then followed by Steal Some Time. And Rockin' Roxton is last of the 10. Couldn't get a slot in at the top end, so it's been snagged back to the rear of the field. 1,100 metres left to travel at the top corner. Above Average, the favourite, clear by 3 metres. Priority Betting on the outside of the leader. Mustang Max is third. Leaders back, and Egbert 1 by 1. Followed then by the Tooth Fairy, who's pinned away 3 back along the inside. Alien from Armstrong, the roughie that they've backed, is 3 back along the outside. Then came Auckland Lass, who's back along the inside of Out of Control. Still Some Time is next to last, and Rockin' Roxton can see them all. Bell chimes now. They've got 1 lap left to go. 800 metres from home. Above average still leads the way. Under a good throttle hold, the favourite. Clear by 3 metres. Priority Betting still on the outside without cover. Leaders back is Mustang Mac. Pillin now is Egbert from the 1-1. Then came the Tooth Fairy along the inside, and also chiming in is Alien from Armstrong. Gets into the 3 deep move. Then followed by Steal Some Time. Next is Out of Control with Auckland Lass and Rockin' Roxon starting to bunch as they head up towards the 400 metres. Above average. Favourite still clear by 3 metres from Egbert, who worked up on the outside now. Alien from Armstrong, the one that backed, is chiming in 3 deep and coming up quickly. Then came Mustang Max, and further afield then to Steal Some Time. They turn for home above average. Up along the inside, leads narrowly from Egbert 2 deep, followed by Alien from Armstrong, and next is Steal Some Time. It's Egbert coming up quickly to above average, and also Alien from Armstrong, but above average is pulling out plenty, and the favourite scores above average, wins by 6 metres. Second home was Egbert, and a photo for third. Alien from Armstrong with Steal Some Time and Mustang Max all in a camera there. Then came the Tooth Fairy with Out of Control. Auckland Lass was in the back half of the field, along with Priority Betting, and there was one more. It was Rocking Roxton.